Let's look at this question, which reads that a compound contains 47.08% carbon, 6.59% hydrogen, and 46.33% chlorine by mass, of which the molar mass of this compound is 153 grams per mole. Now they're asking us to find the empirical formula and the molecular formula. Okay, let's start with the empirical formula. So one thing that we need to assume is that this substance is exactly 100 grams, or has a mass of 100 grams. So what this means is that since we have carbon, hydrogen, and chlorine, and we have exactly 47.08% of carbon, and we have 6.59% of hydrogen, and we also have 46.33% of chlorine. If we have exactly 100 grams, meaning that we have 47.08 grams of this, and just like that. And we need to use our trusty formula. The number of moles is equal to the physical mass over the molar mass. So remember, we want to find the empirical formula, the one that shows the smallest number of moles in that ratio, right? Now, what we need to do, we need to find the number of moles in all of these. So we're going to divide all of these by their molecular mass, or in this case, their atomic mass. So the mass of carbon is 12, the mass of hydrogen is 1, and the mass of chlorine is somewhat 35.5. So if we do all these calculations, we divide 47.08 by 12, we're going to get something like 3.923 recurring. Then we divide this by 1, of course we still have our 6.59. We divide 46.33 by 35.5. We have something like 1.305. So next thing, we need to divide all of these by our smallest answer, and in this case that's 1.305, because we want to leave it in its simplest ratio. That's going to be 1.305. This also divided by 1.305, and this one also divided by 1.305. So dividing this will give 3.005 somewhere there. Dividing this one is going to give us 5.0495, and yeah, we can see this is giving us 1.00, yeah, something like that. So let's just round them off to their simplest whole numbers. So this is going to give us a 3, that's a 5, and that's a 1. So these are the simplest ratios of all these elements inside the compound. So finally, we have carbon, we have hydrogen, and we have our chlorine. So carbon is 3, hydrogen is 5, chlorine is 1. We don't show that. So this right here is how we find our empirical formula. Okay, I found the empirical formula. Now let's look for the molecular formula. So in order for us to find the molecular formula, we can use this as our guide. The molecular formula is equal to the empirical formula, and this n is supposed to be multiplied by all the subscripts in the empirical formula, because this is just showing the simplest number of moles. Now let's find the value of n. The value of n is found by dividing the molecular formula mass by the empirical formula mass. So the empirical formula mass was already given in the question, and that was 153. Now, as for the empirical formula mass, we need to get it from our empirical formula. So that's going to be carbon, which has an atomic number of 12. That's also which has a mass number of 12. So 12 multiplied by 3, and that's going to be added plus 5, and then that's added by 35.5, giving us 76.5. So we're going to divide 153 by 76.5, which is giving us 2. So that's our value for n. So the molecular formula is going to be equal to the empirical formula, which is C3H5Cl2. So all the subscripts are going to be multiplied by this 2. So that means that the molecular formula is C6H10 and Cl2. So that's how you find the molecular formula given the empirical formula.